Good morning and a warm welcome to this week's edition of the Dialogue on Salt TV. My name is Prince Apollo. It's that time when we reflect on the major events of the week. Quite an interesting week. We witnessed the handover of the transfer of the management of electricity distribution from UMEME to UEDCL. And we'll be also looking at the emerging concerns after that UMEME exit. Well, we also have to look into the plan by the ruling National Resistance Movement to reclaim Uganda, once a stronghold of the NRM, but what happened in 2021 was different. Now the big shots in the NRM government are going back to the grassroots to reclaim their constituency. That will be another topic for discussion this morning, but I will, of course, appreciate you for being company, giving us company. Kudos to people like Major Otim Joel, Abel Kela Kampumuza, James Nimba, very many people watching us from within and from outside the country. My name is Prince Apollo. I once again welcome you to the show. But let me introduce my panel of distinguished discussants. Dr. Jira Duwere Wanzara, a resident panelist, public policy researcher, but also an associate lecturer at Uganda Management Institute. I'm always pleased to have you on the show, speak to the dialoguers, and we kick off the big show.
Yeah, of course, I must start by greeting my colleagues in the studio and Apple, our host, and of course, our followers out there, especially those who participate every Saturday by sending messages. And of course, special thanks to our followers from my republic, the United Republic of Chirini, and Mobulo County East. It's always a pleasure having you on the show.
Sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Wiri. And Richard Baguma, also a resident panelist. I'm really profoundly honored to always have you on the show.
Thank you very much, Apollo. As always, God first. I thank the Almighty for enabling us to be here. I thank our viewers, as always, the ones who meet us and remind us of our transgressions on television sometimes. Thank you very much. And the management for their vision. But I also want to be, I'm looking forward to a conversation with my panelists. And also the audience is just a few people called me and said we are going to watch, especially because the rain has trapped us at home. Oh. So I said, okay, why not?
Wow, and we have Council Lufunya Derrick, and Council Derrick is a lawyer, but also politician aspiring to become the MP for Lubaga South. A pleasure and an honor to have you on the dialogue this morning. Speak to our viewers.
Thank you, Apollo. Thank you for hosting me on this very, very able panel. For our viewers, we thank you for tuning in to the dialogue every Saturday to hear issues of national importance and to dissect and give second opinions, get second opinions on how issues are being run in the country. I want to also thank the management for giving us this platform. We as politicians or people who seek people's mandates, we always yearn for an opportunity to talk massively, and Salt Media and Salt TV in particular is one that is watched most in the constituency where I want to seek mandate as Member of Parliament.
Did I tell our viewers that you belong to the National Resistance Movement?
No, you did not. I am I am a strong supporter and believer of the policies and the policies of the National Resistance Movement, and that's where I do my political work. But I wish our viewers and the whole nation a good show going forward.
Dr. Tango Doi was given another term.
Yes, he was given another term, another extension. the party leadership, the party executive leadership, thought it wise to add Dr. Tango Doi another term to continue with the...
Looks like some of you, the supporters, did not like the idea of renewing his term or contract.
Well, some, but you know, I'm a realist and I deal with situations as they come. I don't like sulking over decisions where I don't have power to change and all that. That decision to change those who govern the Secretariat and the works of the Secretariat belongs to the Central Executive Committee. In this regard, and they've made their decision. I don't think we have an appellate process. And for me, once a decision like that is taken, I don't blame the tools. I look at how I can maneuver through whatever situation is coming in. But whatever comes from the Secretariat and the National Resistance Movement Central Executive Committee, we welcome it as people who support the party and who wish the party to go forth and forward.
Thank you so much, Council Derek Rufunya, the lawyer and a politician from Lubaga. One word from you, Dr. Gerard Wanzala. Did you expect Dr. Tango Doi to, of course, be given another shot at the Electoral Commission chairperson for the National Resistance Movement after all what we've heard from the members and supporters of NRM?
Well, to me, it was not a surprise, but also I want to always focus on the reality. We have had so many people cheering the Electoral Commission of NRM. Have the elections been clean? No. If you trace back,
chaotic.
Yes, there are people I respect like Dr. Uganda, they chaired them, Elijah Mushemeza, you know, but the chaos have always been there. The fighting, they, you know, when they were having the electoral college system, it was even worse. We had incidences where the rich candidates would carry all the voters and hide them in the hotels to deny their opponents access. And then they turn up with them on the voting, they herding them like cattle. I saw this triggered violence one day in Butaleja, where the Honorable Shuha carried all the voters to Cooperative Inn in Tororo. They drank the whole weekend, and then they arrived to go and vote. And what Dombo did was to mobilize the youth to cane them and disperse them, and the election did not take place. So this was taking place in different places, and
that was before Tanga.
Yes, so I don't expect Dr. Tanga to do anything different because the circumstances.
So he rather stays.
Take the case of Remiyaga in Zimbabwe, where usually the show of might is what determines who wins. Even if you are Tango Doi, what are you going to do? If the president's brothers are involved, the soldiers are involved, so at the end of the day, you may just withdraw and you watch.
Richard, we saw Dr. Tanga, I think, in 2021 primaries, working with a stick. And always the NRM primaries have been bloody. Here he comes again to preside over the 2026 elections for NRM. Just a comment.
No, Apollo, don't draw me into Waringa conversation. I'm not interested in Waringa conversations. Me, I told you if you want me to talk about the NRA, but these are the Waringa things. No, I'm not interested. So Tanga, no Tanga. That's Tanga. So why do I spend time on Tanga?
All right, viewers, this is the big show. This is the dialogue. We now connect directly to look into the emerging issues after UMEME exit, and UEDCL now is in charge of the electricity distribution network. Well, at an event in Lugogo, there was they exchanged a gesture of a takeover from UMEME, but the intermittent blackouts that are happening across the country, and I don't know, Dr. Were, what signal it sends. As for me, personally, in our area, we've spent more than a week without power. Does it speak to how they were unprepared for this takeover. What do you pick? And it's not an isolated incident. You can hear it from across the country, and the uncertainty now is growing that possibly UMEME perhaps was doing a better job. I don't know.
Apollo, I think I will not be so much pessimistic. I'm one of those who believe that if government entities are properly managed with proper staffing, proper recruitment, proper supervision, training of staff, and then respecting the policies, I know that they can perform. I was here and I gave 2 examples the other week of the driving permit. We under Face Technologies, you take a number of maybe hours. Today, when you go under the government, you spend 30 minutes and then you have your national your driving permit renewed. So I believe that with the proper supervision by the ministry, management, transition is not always easy because, as you know, there are a number of staff who have also been laid off. Not everyone who was under UMEME was absorbed according to the new structure. So I believe that these are challenges of transition. For me, my biggest worry is that the circumstances around the money compensation to UMEME are not yet resolved. While we gave them the $118 million, they are working with a walking stick behind.
Yeah,
Threatening
the shareholders
the
are
government,
still
we are going to
grumbling.
London, exactly. But also what worries me the most is that the UETCL, which was selling power to UMEME, said they have not been paid 530 billion. So if government has paid approximately 420 billion to UMEME, and then one creditor to UMEME is demanding 530 billion, and then you have the shareholders on the stock exchange, and you also have subcontractors who are doing the other work for UMEME. I think there are threats on the risk of the investors losing their money. There are also risks that people who delivered services to UMEME may not be compensated appropriately. And of course, what I fear the most is the loss to the government of Uganda, because the huge loan we have already taken from Stanbic, I've had the minister, Nankabirwa, say it will be paid by us, the end user,
the customers.
The customers. So with the customers have to pay that debt, and also we don't know what may be the outcome of the Court of Arbitration in London, in case it goes there, plus the 90% interest they threatened to impose on us per day during the period we will be in the Court of Arbitration. For me, that is my worry. But I believe that we shall stabilize. UMEME has been playing games with me in Mbale. I paid man, I think, last year around October. They took long playing games here and there, but when UEDCL took over, I received 3 notifications saying they're going to connect me at no additional cost.
Okay.
So it restored some confidence in me and hope that probably they are coming to deliver services to us.
So can we endure these hardships, the blackouts, and actually some are actually experiencing challenges loading the tokens or something? Should we endure those few challenges with the hope that things will get better soon?
Yeah, but we need to talk about them, like you are saying, because sometimes silence, when you keep silent, you never get what you want.
Yeah.
As the lawyer has always said, that justice is not for the idle ones. You have to seek it. So we must make some noise when these challenges are experienced, because I have seen it case by case. The areas with rotten infrastructure, poles, the areas where you have maybe a dead transformer and needs replacement. But so when you speak, I think they will be able to collect these issues and be able to deliver the services.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wedre. Richard, for my case, because now it has become personal, we are told it's an issue of a transformer, a blown transformer, but now it's coming to 1.5 weeks without fixing
That's too
it.
much.
Should we customers endure the hardships when the authorities well knew that there would be a time for transition? Possibly they would have prepared better for this transition. Won't customers get a signal that actually the transition is for the worse, not the better?
First, I would start with the serious note. How can all of you be there and spend a week without a transformer? Are you serious?
What should
The
we
people
do?
who are there, you collect some money and facilitate.
Is that possible?
And facilitate somebody to, and the transformer will be available. How many are you in that
Should
place?
we contribute to buy a transformer?
You are very unserious, you guys. How can you be so unserious? This is Uganda. This is Uganda. Yeah. So that's the rest.
Expecting a refund?
But why? It is you who uses the power. It is you whose things in the fridges are rotting. And you are there sitting complaining. All of you. So, this is a sort of a problem. So now on a little higher serious.
Yeah.
The government of Uganda is to its departments, army, police, prisons, hospitals. They all probably maybe what 100 billion.
Yeah.
So why do you think that is going to change? Why would anyone think that the army is now going to start paying you this year?
Government.
Yeah, why? So the UMEME was protected by its concession agreement.
Yeah.
One of the things that we had done at the time was to put money on an escrow account. Because, you see, okay, the little history, because I was very active in the media, that I remember was that, you know, at the time, we had load shedding. That's what it was called, load shedding.
Yeah, I remember that time.
That you would not have electricity. And it would even be advertised.
Yeah.
I lived here in Runguja. I knew that on Wednesday, between
You'll not
6
have
and
power.
7 in the morning, I will not have power. On Friday, I will not. It was... So government was trying to increase consumption and distribution and especially industrialization. And they were not making headway. This sector is very specialized. So it's not that everybody walks in and starts doing things. So they invited the people. They advertised internationally to get people to come and take the concession. And no one agreed. 6 people came, I think it was from the Dutch, the British, the South African, and everybody says, no, this is untouchable. One of the greatest threats, which is a threat today, was that the government was not paying for its power and it's a big consumer.
Under UEB.
Under UEB. So comes all these things, now we split at where? The president, His Excellency, the president, my president, sent his team. If I remember correctly, it was Minister of Finance, Sendaura. It was the man who was not yet secretary, he was deputy, I think, secretary to the treasury or something, director for something, budget. He was called the late Keith Mhakanisi. I have been trying to read, I can't remember the third, because I was covering these things, so I was a bit in it. And they went to UK begging. There was something in UK which had come to check if to follow up the bid, to do due diligence. It was called CDC. And the ESCOM of South Africa. Those are the ones we begged. And they agreed to do a consortium, and that's how UMEME was created. Because we were so bad off, and our UEB was, was untouchable for investors, we made the concessions that we made. It's 20 years down the road. They really have done a good job.
Sure.
Yeah, we can throw them, we can. But one of the insurances they built in the concession was We shall have an escrow account where there is money, because we know government that is pay. When they don't pay, we shall be picking.
Oh,
I'm not sure that
this time around.
UEDCL has an escrow account where to pick money from. I don't know. They also had in their concession, they had it was agreed that they could withhold the payment to UETCL, to the one who gives them
electricity transmission.
This government owes us this. If we are paying the transmission company, we first take off what government owes us.
So there were safeguards.
I don't know now
There were
that UEDCL has those safeguards.
Oh.
That is why me as a consumer, I worry.
You're worried.
That's why I worry. Because the indiscipline and impunity of government, I have no signal that it is going to be better. It probably is going to be worse.
Oh.
Yeah. So we have to think about these things. So, and you have to reinvest in this network for it to deliver power for you. So if you government has 100 billion, so where do you want the manager of UMEME or now UDC to get money to buy you a new transformer? And they are not being paid.
So we should fundraise as residents and buy ourselves a transformer.
I don't know why you are wasting time not doing that and spend 1.5 weeks suffering. I am surprised that you are doing that. So Apollo, I think it's useful that our viewers get to also, some of them were not there. I mean, we have a bit of an advantage of being there, but also to remember some of the things. Yes, so that you contextualize the transfer. And I saw my president. This is my president, obviously, you know, I keep saying that.
Yoweri Museveni.
Yes. Talking about how the concession was done.
But he says, he's the last person who nailed the final nail in UMEME's coffin.
Yeah, but you see me, I've told you the genesis of UMEME is the assessments and studies and what of UMEME is. So Apollo, if you want to see why UMEME gets all the attention it gets, how much money does it hold every year?
2.3 trillion, I heard.
And so imagine the egos of this in this city.
Oh.
You imagine these egos in this city are looking at the trillions.
The sharks. Richard Baguma is a veteran journalist, but also political commentator. Council Derek, I don't know what is happening in Lubaga, but some other parts of the country are experiencing blackouts. Well, we can say it's a period of transition. These things can happen, but should we endure these hardships? Could possibly the authorities have planned better for this to at least give confidence to the citizens that it is here, UEDCL is here for better?
The story of the blackouts is not any different from what is happening in Lubaga. Oh. Actually, this morning.
Actually, here we are running on generators.
My shirt to come to the show.
I didn't have power to iron.
To iron the shirt to come to a show, I had to look for a wash and wear material.
The same situation with me.
We are running on generators here right now.
I think Ugandans are built to endure hardships, and it's no questions, because you see, what we must understand, government is bad at doing business, extremely bad at doing business. They don't pay. We have 13 trillions in domestic areas. People's homes that have been mortgaged in banks are going away. Government has taken almost 10 years without paying people, government supplies and all that. So government is not a good business partner, yet it's the only available institution where government is the only available partner for banking institutions to lend. Now, what I have to say about the UMEME concession is that it's good. The gentleman on my left here was covering each and everything. What I am left with is to look at the literature. I wasn't actually. I'm giving reported speech, but what I know is that at the sunset of UEB, it was terrible.
Yeah, true.
It was terrible. could go Kampala. I think the biggest business in Kampala was selling generators.
True.
Absolutely.
And when you go to arcades, they will be too dark, poorly built, and the noise was terrible. And he talked about inviting people to invest in the sector, even locally. People, you know, the energy sector, the electricity sector is a capital-intensive sector. It needs serious amounts of money.
Yeah.
By 2005, on the UMEME concessions, we didn't even have very many power generating plants. I think we had
Chira. I think, and
Owen.
that is Chira.
That's Chira. The Owen Ford.
Which other? There was a botched one. This other one that was. The president keeps complaining about. So the Narubale one. So there was no investment in the sector, and you see,
Where the man was.
to extend coverage, it's capital intensive. The UMEME concession, UMEME from 2005 to last. When was it? I think it was Monday. Had invested almost 800 million United States dollars in making sure that the network
is running
success,
efficiently.
And they had gone as far as listing on the stock. People like NSSF had made serious investments. They had listed. All those things will be spoken about. I had the generator also has issues with UMEME. I think those ones we may have to go to London and take sausages and then discuss and clear it there. But UMEME also had a problem. UMEME as an entity brought into the country, they would only concentrate in areas that were financially feasible. For instance, they would not connect West Nile.
On the national grid.
On the national grid, simply because it was not tenable to invest in the extension of the grid or distribution.
But their customers had grown, and
they had from 150,000 in 2005 to around 3 million. UMEME did a very big job, but UMEME as an investor, the sole purpose of its shareholders and those who invest in the entity was to earn a profit. And unfortunately, in 2005, the less risk profit, the less risk bait that was available was UMEME. Even after the 20 years of the concession, other entities, other investors wanted to take on the sector, but government would not allow them. My only worry is that going forward, with the inefficiency of government and its its inability to run businesses effectively, if that is plagued with the UEDCL, then I think we'll have to endure. If life gives you lemon, you make lemonade. If you don't have a transformer where you are, follow his advice. It is the best. If you have a rotten pole, if you put in a requisition, it's like just we do in the judiciary. If you want to go on locus, to take a judge on locus, and you wait for a judiciary to give him fuel and all that, then the judge will not go because the budget is not there. So this is so UG, so Ugandan. We should handle Ugandan problems the Ugandan way.
Thank you so much, Council Derek Lufunya, a lawyer, but also a politician from Lubaga South. My name is Prince Apollo. I implore you viewers to also take part in the debate. Send your comments and observations. What signals do you pick from these few days of the transition and the emerging concerns following these intermittent blackouts that we are experiencing, and now the memories of 2005 when the whole city was littered with generators and the noise, the darkness are actually returning. Dr. Wirhe, I saw that I saw somewhere that ERA, Electricity Regulatory Authority, issued a new card of tariffs. They've revised it the tariffs somehow. Should we expect a better or an affordable tariff this time? Because UMEME was, of course, a private player looking at maximizing profits. But here we have government. Well, with all the suspicions that maybe government may not be good at doing business, should the customer down there expect a reduction in the tariff?
Maybe in the long run. In the short term, I don't see, I'm not going to see a significant reduction. When I heard the minister say they had revised the rates, I went and checked on what they published, and I saw the first 15 units,
200 and
about 250.
50.
And then I saw the next up to around, is it 50 units? Back to 725 per unit. Then the next, what they call the cooking package, 8 and above at about 425. Well, I didn't see a difference because these are almost so identical to the package that we have been having. So I don't want to believe that the rates have gone down. The rates are still the same. And given the challenges I talked about here, and which Richard has reinforced, the safeguards UMEME as a private investor put in place so they don't lose. Okay. We have the debts to stand big. We have the claim they are making on what they say was not recouped. So I think the priority of government now is going to be that we, the customers, we pay, and then they are able to pay off those obligations. Because I heard that in the accounts of UEDCL, this loan we got, the 118 million, has been put as a loan to UEDCL. So meaning UEDCL must work so hard to collect that money and be able to pay Stanbic Bank. So those are the challenges which may...
a different tariff or a lower and affordable tariff.
Yeah, like my colleagues say, the capital investment in the energy sector is high. You saw the president over 10 years ago when we started working on Bujagali, Simba. He was optimistic that the cost of the cost to the user would go down. But if you analyze, at what rate has it gone down? We are still challenged because some bring together the money lenders, the investor, the contractors, the whole process. The cost goes so high. So if it will be a reduction, then this will be gradual. But I don't expect it to be immediate.
But shouldn't it be? Because, like I said, UMEME was looking at maximizing profits, but we have now UEDCL, which should be perhaps looking for an efficient and extended service to as many people as possible, as many Ugandans as possible.
By the way, contrary to the information that UMEME was self-contained, for instance, in terms of delivery of services, it was working with so many other service providers that would subcontract. I'm not going to see this change. UEDCL is going to depend
on subcontractors.
Exactly. To deliver on some critical.
So the expenses may remain.
Yeah, quite a number of expenses are going to remain the same. They will not change.
Richard, I don't know if you have a concern with the tariffs. For you people, you may not know even how much you pay, but there are people who are very concerned about the rates.
Frankly, they tell me when the casting starts, in the house. Then they will tell me, Daddy,
it is now like not Yaka.
So I go to look for, do I have 5,000 on the phone? Do I have 10,000 I put? And I keep peace in the house, and life goes on. But you see, Apollo, first of all, I think it's also not fully representative to say that UMEME was determining the tariff. The tariff is determined by the regulatory authority. So UMEME didn't have a free hand to maximize profit. This would always be a negotiated thing. And so stakeholders would be there, and this would be debated. So it's not true entirely that UMEME had a free hand, they would change the prices the way they want. And I think that's the first thing. The second thing, I think it was a very ingenious and clever attempt at public relations, at managing our anxiety by government saying, "Oh, we have reduced the tariff." Really, I think this was just a public relations, client anxiety management initiative. I don't think there's much substance in this claim of reduction. And so when you hear Dr. Wedike saying, I went and read, none of us don't read the first 15, go, no, we take the claim and we go away. That's why, so when you ask people, what are you paying for? Which you say, when I put 10,000 the other day, it gave me this. When I put it another day, it gave me different.
If you load at the beginning of the month, it is different.
So unless you are a salary earner who gets money at the beginning of the month and the end of the month, you may load in the middle when your allowance of transport comes. So I don't think many consumers, the industrial ones is different. They keep a very keen eye on the electricity bill as an input. But also, Apollo, we also have to assess this contextually. If the tariff has been lowered, but you spend 1.5 weeks without power,
true.
So which one would you take?
That does not make sense.
You also have to ask yourself, would I keep this lower tariff without power? Or maybe do I consider upping it a bit and having power?
Have power.
Yeah. So what is the cost of not having power? For all the businesses around, for all those people who do. Now, what was the cost of my anxiety looking through the wardrobe, trying to locate which one is the wash and wear shirt? So it means I may have to invest in more wash and wear shirts. So this has to be looked at in the entire context.
Right.
What is the cost of attempting to do anxiety management? You lower the price, but then the economy in many spaces is shutting down.
Thank you so much, Richard. And viewers, I again implore you to take part in this discussion. Our producer will run the number on the screen. Send WhatsApp, send SMS. Tell us what you think about this transition and the emerging issues following the UMEME exit. What are you experiencing and what your expectations looks like from Richard's submission and Dr. Gerard's submission? Not much will change, especially in the billing system. Anyway, what do you think, Council Rufinya?
For the benefit of our viewers, Uganda doesn't have so many consumer protection laws. We rely on what the minister says at Uganda Media Center. And for those who have the habit of not even reading or even not looking, just like Richard said, we don't look for the first 15 units. Who cares? Who cares in Uganda anyway? What we are interested in as consumers of power is, do we have stable supply of power? Is it efficient? Isn't it a rip-off? Because you see, Ugandans have a complaint on so many things. We are being fleeced in the tariff rates. We can't understand the English. We are being fleeced in the internet, the MBs. Put 500 MBs and in a minute you don't know where it goes.
They evaporate.
You've opened up so many apps. Your phone is using so many apps, and you go
in
to commercial banking rates. You take a loan and you don't know how a loan you pay 100 million, how it turned out to be 200 million shillings. No one is there to protect you, including Bank of Uganda. But what I know is that I re-emphasize that government is not good at doing business. That's why they created UEDCL, a body corporate. And UEDCL does not refer to Ugandans as citizens. They are customers, they are clients. And if government attempts to remove, to export its inefficiency, its bad habits in corporate management and transfers them to UEDCL, we are going to see a return of a hybrid of UEB, but in its worst form. Now, that is a recipe for one. What we are crying out that we don't have investors. At least we have a volume of those who consume UMEME, who consume power in forms of the industries. The president has been keen at making sure they open industrial parks and all that. If we don't have a stable supply of electricity, it means no jobs.
Yeah.
If there is no efficient supply of electricity and supervisory mechanisms that are provided by the regulator, which is Electricity Regulatory Authority, then we are going to slip back in the 38% power loss that was being orchestrated during the dark days of UEB. We are going to see the re-emergence of Kamyufu. Is what they call Kamyufu. The villages, if you have to buy, to dip into your pockets to buy a transformer, that is the inefficiency in the system. Now, because the electricity sector is not, it's capital intensive, government does not have money, its priorities are not straight, they normally depend on...
no, perhaps you talk about the priorities, but government has money, must invest in this, because this is about creating jobs. This is about development.
Well, history.
Building us.
History will show you we need a revamped health sector, and look at what they're appropriating for the budget. Look at what they're appropriating for the agriculture sector. Unfortunately, I'm not in part in the room where the pie is divided and priorities are straight for them. We have a group of wise men who sit down and say, now this year the priority should be, say, probably elections, which for me I find a bit laughable. But these are very serious sectors. In other jurisdictions, serious sectors like energy are entirely a preserve of the national government.
Yeah.
We should have the Baganda call it obuja. We should protect it jealously and not allow in other people, because if we joke with power, there are so many things that can come out of that. But what I know, any investment, and you have to invest. You have to invest. That's why it is not advisable for government to export its inefficiency, its bad habits of not doing business effectively to UEDCL. Once they do that, once they let the politicians do not understand the technical sector like this one. Ministers are good at coming, making a switch, and then media send and all that, but this is technical. And for us to expand the electricity sector to the rest of Ugandans who do not have it, you have to invest. And if you have to invest, you have to incorporate that investment into the tariffs. Because the investor, which now is UEDCL, should be able to recoup on the investment, but also pay the liabilities, including the UMEME loans that are coming up. So I don't think Ugandans will be interested at all in the tariffs, whether they are changed or not. What they are interested is in the stable supply of electricity, efficient, and so that you also dial 0800 something and get your new transformer without making a village town hall meeting. So Ugandans are interested in very simple things.
Exactly.
Yes, very simple things.
A stable supply, efficient supply of power. That's all they need.
They're interested in watching their Arsenal Man U. Taking a cold beer without a blackout. Warm beer is not good for the stomach. And life will go on as long as government understands that we need a stable supply of electricity.
Thank you. That's the number on the screen, 0701-609906. Good morning, Apollo, and your esteemed panel. To me, NRM, with or without Tanga, the primaries will be muddied with chaos. If you want to prove this, find out what events that are unfolding in Remihaga between the incumbent Honorable Sechikubu and retired Brigadier General Wanshande. So to me, it's not a matter of Dr. Tanga as the chairman of NRM. Abel Kelu Akampumuza. Thank you so much, Abel Kelu. Hello, this is ex-convict Mutiaba Moran. They told us that starting 1st April, it will be affordable, but that was starting of interruption by electricity and cost. The cost is as usual. Okay, thank you so much. I think I picked your message. like Baguma said, I think it was public relations. They said starting April 1st, you'll see things change, and there was that rebranding, the big switch, and
I don't know why they chose April 1st. Because
The
April
day
1st
April
is
1st is
then Yaka turned into light. Hey, you think it was a Fool's Day joke?
They did not lie. The blackouts also started.
Yeah,
Things will change.
they made a change, yes. The blackout started. The change is real.
Okay, Dr. Gerard, as we conclude, it is Council Derek who has actually spoken about it, I think 3 times, that government should not export its inefficiency into the operations of UADCL, and it's Richard, I think, who also talked about some entities, government entities, defaulting on bills, and actually that's the genesis of these problems, and eventually you see inefficiencies spreading, and it goes back to what we experienced during UMEME days. How should that be managed now? Can UDSL really stamp their feet on the ground and say, you must pay? If you're Mulago Hospital, you must pay your bills. If you're Makerere University, you must pay your bills. I don't know. Because actually the system we have today is prepaid. You even pay before a service. I don't know what happens then.
I think we just have this laxity, and of course, sometimes I would call it also impunity, because these challenges have been there from UEB time. By the way, the challenge that UMEME was facing, or UADCL is going to face, is not only with electricity. If you look at defense, Minister of Defense, Minister of Internal Affairs, prisons, even water, they are the biggest, debtors to National Water and Sewage Corporation. And every year, when budget proposals are being presented, I see arguments about those recurring bulk debts. But at the end of the day, they are never prioritized. Probably we still have this big man syndrome, thing that because it's the army, then the army can utilize the electricity for free. Yet the realities on the ground are that if these debts are not paid, then you are crippling the institution that's delivering services. You also crippling the economy. So I think it will take a lot of, I don't know which level of advocacy, to ensure that they realize that they pay. Because if you look at the bills for, say, classified expenditures and other procurements, because you should know that the army, whether there is war or no war, their budget always goes up.
Always there.
But why can't we have a system where we can prioritize at least paying these institutions in phases, instead of waiting for a very long time? You cripple, then it takes time for people to come in the parliament and probably even go for a quick loan, which attracts high interest in order for you to pay that debt. I think we can do better. If we took it serious.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gerard Werewanzala. And we picked this issue because we know it touches many people out there. The people who, this mama who has a fridge and that was the source of livelihood, who has a salon, and it's a lifeline for their family. They are now suffering, I can tell you.
You remember when National Water attempted to cut off water from Mulago, and actually they disconnected from other referral hospitals in the regions, and it became very political because it touches the lives of people. So can we avoid that?
Oh, yes. Those entities consume, they consume, and then government has to pay the bills later. And I think that's where the problem comes from. We can now switch gears and look at another issue, but that is after this short break. Just mention it and we go for a break.
I think Ugandans must also take part in development of the electricity sector. Last year I was in Nairobi, I was in Kenya, in Ngong Hills, and I looked at a simple investment on wind energy. wind energy. If we do not take, because you see, hydroelectric is capital intensive, and most Ugandans have opted to invest in arcades instead of these.
Even solar.
Yes, the so-called rich people in Uganda opt to invest in arcades and not in schools. I saw the beauty of Ngong Hills, which one is green energy. It has a stable supply coming from wind instead of destruction of the environment. On all these hills we have, Lake Victoria is there in the offing. Karamoja has extremely good potential in doing this. We should invest in more greener energy and more efficient. Nuclear is also an option that is available. Government should look at attracting more investors, and also locally, we should look at Ugandans locally investing in this. For instance, West Nile, if they took an option of wind turbines, that is supply of electricity untampered, with less investment, and everyone, even this corruption, they rather steal and then build a wind power plant than building an arcade where Ugandans don't have money to
I think there are some solar projects spread across some parts of the country, and I think we can also invest in solar energy to supplement this. Thank you so much, our viewers. Let's go for a break. When we return, we'll be looking at now the orchestrated plan by NRM to reclaim the support of Buganda. Is it possible or not? Let's go for a break and return after this short while.
Download the Salt Media app from the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store.